I'm confused on what this even means. Her husband was found with another woman, and this what was done to his organs. What does that mean?
Is a 42-year-old man presenting to the emergency room with pain in his hands and feet. He tells the admitting nurse that the hurt had been slowly building up since earlier that day until
Oh, I thought that this was. Oh, wait, no, he was
he
cheating.
finally couldn't take it anymore. But as he says this, he starts to lose feeling in his lips, tongue, and his face.
Wait, I know what this is. She poisoned him. That's the moral of the story.
Arby was living with his wife Zoe. They had been married 24 years. A couple months ago, Arby was out in the park. He was enjoying the time until suddenly he ran into his neighbor. This shouldn't have
Ugly ass Nick, my
been a
fault.
problem, but Arby was with a woman who wasn't Zoe. The neighbor knew that something was happening here. Arby knew that the neighbor knew that something was happening here.
Oh,
And the woman that he was
nah.
with didn't know that Arby was married, and this awkward exchange was going to change his life. Zoe had thought something was going on with her husband for a while. The neighbor told
You
her what he
really
saw, and she
dry-
couldn't deal with this.
You really snitching.
She scrubbed through every single record on his computer, browser history, DMs. She called the internet service provider to get a detailed list of all the websites that he accessed. She looked up who this woman was. She felt no need to confront him directly
Oh, no, she's a devious individual. You know I'm cheating, you're not gonna talk to me about it?
about this. One evening, Zoe and RB were at home together when suddenly a man broke in. RB tried his best to fend off this thief, but he was seriously injured, and the
So you cheating and you weak.
man got away. Zoe asked her husband if he was okay and told him that she was definitely going to take care of him, so he should just relax. She knew how to make the perfect remedy
She did poison him.
that would fix him up. As the days passed, Arby started noticing that the food that he would eat would come right back up. Zoe told him that he needs to calm down. That attack must have been really stressful. And
See, I'm stubborn. I'm not letting my wife take care of me in any circumstances unless I lose both legs and both arms. And even then, I'm probably gonna hop up out that bitch myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm just independent like that. I got my ass whooped, bro. I need my honor back. I'm about to hop in the gym. I'm about to take some boxing lessons. That's just me personally. You know?
he just needs
Why sit in the bed? He didn't hit me that hard, babe.
to cool his nerves. At home, Zoe would watch Arby live in a world of hurt. The harder his struggle, the more satisfied she was. He started noticing that he was losing more hair than he normally
What's wrong with being taken care of? Nothing. I'm talking about in this situation what I would do. It's okay to lose. It's never okay to lose.
would in the shower, but he didn't know why this was happening. One day, Zoe made Arby
Especially when is that Vaseline on a
normally would in the shower, but he didn't know why this was happening. One day, Zoe made Arby a tuna sandwich for
Oh, I thought that was Vaseline.
dinner.
Yo, can you imagine somebody putting Vaseline on a piece of toast and handing it to you? That might be oh no, that might be the craziest thing. Do you die if you eat petroleum jelly?
Immediately after eating half of the sandwich, Arby felt something was wrong. He couldn't finish it. The next morning, he drove to work, but in the car, his hands and feet started tingling. Very quickly, even a slight breeze against the back of his hand would feel like he was getting skinned alive.
That's why I don't eat tuna.
He had to stop on the side of the road because he couldn't even touch the steering wheel anymore. He calls for 911 and he's brought to the emergency room where we are now. At examination, RB looked fine. Typically, when the Achilles tendon at the back of the foot is tapped, there's a reaction. This is called the ankle jerk reflex. RB's only 42 and his medical records say that he's healthy.
My shit not moving. It wants to though. Like, I'm tapping my shit right now. Wait, hold on. Let me get a heavier substance. Oh wait, it is moving. What the fuck? It's fucking moving. I'm playing with my toes. Oh, that shit amazing. Look at God. What? Why are y'all saying ill? I'm not showing you feet.
This reflex should be intact, but when the medical team tested it, RB didn't have it. A tuning fork vibrates. This is something that people will normally feel. When the medical team put a tuning fork to RB's foot, they asked him to say stop when he doesn't feel it vibrate anymore. But
He said mine isn't moving. Help. You have 3 days left. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to be the one to inform you.
he never said stop because he never felt it vibrate in the first place. Given that RB has an intense building pain in his hands and feet, that he's missing reflexes, and that he can't feel vibration in his feet, it looks like something is wrong with his nerves.
I felt all of that.
Is it only his nerves?
It's like a toe orgasm.
When the medical team did a CT scan of his head, it looked normal.
My shit feel like so rejuvenated right now. What the fuck? I just brought life back into my foot.
Nothing was wrong in his brain, at least not yet. This means that centrally he might not be having any problems, but this peripheral neuropathy, peripheral referring to the outer parts of the nervous system, neuro, and opathy referring to a disturbance of a normal vital process, means that something is wrong with the nerves far from his brain, explaining the pain in his hands and feet.
Well, at least it's not stemming from the brain. But I mean, nerve damage is still bad in itself, but like nerve damage that stems from the brain, I'm like, bro, like, fuck.
And coupled together with gastrointestinal upset, which could also happen because of something wrong with the nerves, it gives the medical team some clues as to what's happening. Nothing happening to RB looks immediately life-threatening. It's not like he's having a stroke or a cardiac arrest. Neuropathy could have been developing over weeks to months, maybe because of nutritional deficiencies, or maybe infection. Not having a reflex in the ankle isn't something that people are going to check for every day. But as minutes become hours in the hospital, he starts telling the nurse that the pain was spreading to his arms and legs, and slowly he starts to become somnolent. When nurses try to talk to him, he slurs his speech, his eyelids start to droop, and it gets harder to get a response from him. All of this indicating that whatever's happening to him is spreading to his brain.
This me off that one sleep aid that one time in 2020.
This sudden and quick decline in his condition suggests that something is not only inside his body causing this, but that something may have been put there intentionally, maybe against his knowledge.
We're breaking it down.
All of this happened after he had eaten a tuna sandwich that he couldn't finish. A sandwich
that looks
prepared by
fucking
someone
disgusting.
who might wish to harm him as an act of revenge or malice. Put together, this indicates that he might have been poisoned. Relationships are messy. Sometimes they're toxic. Choosing a life partner is a daunting task, but taking control of your internet security is an infinitely easier choice, and you can do that with NordVPN.
How the fuck? That was a great transition. I'm not gonna let you cook though. I'm not gonna let you cook. That was a great transition though. Holy shit. W Doc. Look at his fucking face.
Zoe had had a background in making
He happy as hell to have deceived y'all like that.
and selling cosmetics. She had heard about some substances that could cause an effect on an adult man, but might not be easily traceable. On a website, she spoofed an email with a lab supplier to purchase thallium sulfate. This used to be a pesticide in the United States, but it was banned in the 1970s. But if we look at the periodic table, thallium is right next to lead and mercury. This means it's a
Damn. I don't know if it would turn me on and my wife knew about this, like she a little smart, or if it would be like, yo, I need to get away from her because she could really do me in a worse way and I not really be able to prove it sometimes. You feel me? Shit crazy.
heavy metal, but what exactly is it doing to RB's body? Most elements that build the structures in our body have small and light atoms. Biology, at least what we think we know of it right now on Earth, appears to trend towards this, because small and light usually means more stable, and things that aren't stable are considered reactive. They'll interact with parts of other structures to become stable, and that's what causes permanent damage. If something is reactive, it might not be small and light, and knowing that thallium is a heavy metal, it refers to that atomic structure, and this lays the foundation for what's happening to RB.
Exactly. That was the whole equilibrium of the equation right there, is that we didn't even know about the specifications of his shit.
The periodic table is organized by trends.
Appreciate
and
the 3 months, bro.
similarities. The table is a human invention designed to help give reference to the things that build our physical world. Elements in a column together have similar features. The further down a column you go, the heavier and more massive the element is. Each column is called a group. Nothing in thallium's group make up bodily structures, but things start to happen when elements get heavier. Each time we count up by 1 in the periodic table, it puts us in a new group. If we try to spot patterns while counting up, one of the first things that we find is that aluminum comes right after magnesium. But if we go down by 1, gallium doesn't come right after calcium.
So we're branching further and further away from the Call of Duty. What we're doing is inching into more and more dangerous territories as we follow this trend on the periodic table. Stay with me.
This row in between contains elements that you might have heard of, like titanium and iron. This brings us back to atomic structure. As elements get heavier, they start to become more complex. When we count up by 1 along a row, that number is how many protons or positively charged particles the element's atom has. Pure elemental forms don't have an electrical charge, meaning for every proton there is one negatively charged electron. This row between calcium and gallium indicates that there's additional complexity in these elements' atoms that doesn't exist between aluminum and magnesium. Specifically, it's where additional electrons can be found in their higher energy levels. But as we keep counting up towards thallium, we get another break in the pattern right here.
Right.
Because atoms get even more complex when there's more energy to account for. If you remember from your chemistry classes, the scientific words used to describe these periods is the creation of the d and f orbitals. Given its place in the periodic table, it tells us that thallium is most stable with a +1 charge, something called a monovalent cation. Mono meaning one, valent from valence, which is from Latin referring to capacity, in this case, electron capacity, and cation referring to the positive.
What I'm thinking that he means, right, in simpler terms, here's what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking he means is that there was a point at which there weren't enough positively charged protons within the chemical on the periodic table. Wait! On the periodic table. So what I'm thinking is, it got to a point where there weren't as many negative charges in the positivity of the... Okay, the protons, right? Protons. We're all here to talk about protons, right? When we got back to the original shit, at the end of the day, this is what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna occur at the end of the day. The protons are going to be in much higher, the positively charged protons are going to be in a higher positive, the higher positive protons are going to be in excess because there aren't as many negative protons to balance the situation.
Molecules type shit.
No, they're not as, so like there aren't as many. So it's not going to be on the same wavelength. And then there's going to be too many positive charged ones, and then putting that substance into the body is going to cause too much electrical charge to the nervous system. No. Wait. Exactly. There's not as many negative shits in the proton to balance it. So there's too much positively charged electromagnetic waves happening once the substance enters the body, and it has an issue with the nerves. I guarantee that's where we're going.
Charge. So thallus ion is missing an electron. It has one more proton than it has electrons. We've already established that the body likes to deal with and is made of smaller and lighter elements. So what other common elements are monovalent cations in humans? Going back to the periodic table, in group 1, we have hydrogen, which functionally is acid. Lithium is only available in trace amounts in humans, so It's not that common. And then sodium and potassium. Looking at the size of these three ions, we notice that thallium is more similar to potassium than it is to sodium. If thallium is heavier,
you're interrupting the teacher,
and more reactive than potassium, but the body's machinery can't tell the difference between the two.
Can y'all shut up? Fuck!
This shit sound like when the teacher said to use 10,000 words to explain how water is wet. Skip this PM.
Alright, shut up, nigga.
What happens when a massive amount of thallium is ingested? On the surface of cells are numerous sodium, potassium...
Watch him say the exact same shit that I just said.
...pumps. These structures pump sodium out of a cell and potassium in. If thallium is present, it gets pumped in instead of potassium, causing intracellular accumulation. But if enough thallium is present, these pumps stop working altogether. This explains what was happening to RB's nerves.
Exactly. So there was an abundance of the positively charged protons, which would essentially have an interaction with the way it interacts with the nervous system and the nerves in the brain, sending too many positively charged situations to the brain itself, ultimately having a situation where the whole thing spontaneously combusts.
Electrochemical currents.
No, stop. Because you know what I just said was the exact. I just mentioned how the electromagnetic current literally was receiving too much of a charge. I just said that. You know I just said that. Come on. You know I just said that. Come on. Stop. You know I just said that. Chill, bro.
And signals from the nerves to the
I
brain and
literally
vice versa.
said.
Without these pumps, the difference in positive and negative charges inside and outside nerve
I
cells
just said-
can't be replaced.
I'm a fucking genius.
Starts in the periphery before making its way to larger nerves in the body. These pumps also need energy to function, but that's not working anymore either. Energy
I just said
production
it, bro. Oh
begins
my
with the
God.
breaking down of sugar. This is called glycolysis.
And they tell y'all all the time, bro. Intelligence isn't based off of the information that you're able to retain. It's based off of your problem-solving abilities. I would have been able to ascertain this shit and save this nigga life and get rid of his girl that was fucking him up just off the strength of my own brain.
Glyco referring to glucose and lysis referring
This
to
shit's
a breakdown
crazy. This shit
of.
crazy.
The final product is a chemical called pyruvate, and the part of the body's
Pyru? We got gangs in our bodies?
The final product is a chemical called pyruvate,
What the fuck? It's all connected, bro.
and the part of the body's machinery
It's
that
all
performs this
connected.
conversion is something called pyruvate kinase. In order to function, pyruvate kinase requires potassium.
It's all there,
But in
bro.
RB cells, his sodium-potassium pumps have been pumping in thallium. Pyruvate kinase can't tell the difference. Now glycolysis is shut down. Pyruvate is needed to enter the citric acid cycle, where electrons are shuffled among several chemicals in order to produce a proton gradient that ends with ATP production, adenosine triphosphate, the body's energy currency. Inside the cycle, succinate dehydrogenase needs potassium to reduce flavin adenine dinucleotide, but RB's body can't tell the difference between potassium and thallium. Now the cycle is shut down, and
Right.
without this reduced product, energy production stops happening. The nerves and the muscles are closely interlinked. They're highly energy
Exactly.
dependent, and they're supposed to have large amounts of potassium inside their cells. But for RB, they don't have energy anymore, and they can't send the right electrochemical signals because his body's machinery has mistaken thallium for
You don't even have,
potassium,
bro. You
and
didn't have to tell
normal
me.
function can't
You
happen
didn't have to tell me. You didn't have. We was already locked in.
anymore.
We was already locked
This still isn't his only problem. Old alchemists knew that mercury interacts with sulfur-containing substances.
we were already locked in.
Particularly of the structure that we call today the thiol, which is why sometimes you'll find that they're called mercaptans, from Latin mercurium captans, meaning capturing mercury. In more modern times, we found that not just mercury, but heavy metals like to interact with sulfur. The liver produces a molecule called glutathione, which is an antioxidant that protects the body from chemicals. Glutathione contains
I got a
sulfur.
supplement like
If
this.
RB's body has too much thallium and thallium binds to sulfur, then this protective mechanism is consumed and can no longer function. There's 20 distinct amino acids that when chained together make up all-
Bro. I literally have these. I literally have these. Oh God, I will go get them. I literally have these. I've been studying this shit for years. Literally got them. We all have them? No, I'm saying like I got them as supplements. I got them. Like it's that simple, bro. This isn't even about the story. It's just a fucking crash course. What are you talking about? I didn't say that. I'm saying. Niggas just love hating.
all the proteins in our body. 2 of these 20 contain sulfur. Keratin, which is the protein that makes up hair, skin, and nails, contains a lot of sulfur. And given that Zoe appeared to be feeding her husband thallium for weeks before he presented to the emergency room, it should make sense why
God
RB started
damn.
losing a lot of his hair. But is there any way to remove the thallium from RB's body?
No, he's fucked.
Maybe.
Oh.
But the problem is the medical team still only suspects that this is what happened. Zoe will never admit this, and RB is so incapacitated that he can't even talk anymore. The hospital lab doesn't have any tests that can find specifically thallium. Presuming this diagnosis, there's something that they could give him.
What is
Prussian blue is an artificially synthesized pigment made of iron and cyanide. Its molecules arrange into a crystal structure that's known to bind ionic potassium. If thallium can be substituted in place of potassium, and thallium often has greater affinity for these substrates than potassium, Prussian blue should be able to trap and contain the thallium in
Listen to that Schoolboy Q album, Blue Lips. That'll save you.
RB's blood, but this assumes that it can also absorb into his organs and then get into the cells of those organs to suck out the remaining thallium, and we don't know if Prussian blue actually does that. RB is sent in for dialysis where he's connected to a machine and his blood is sent there so that toxins can be filtered out for him. But that also doesn't mean that the thallium already in his organs will get cleared out. The heart is a muscle that's connected to the brain through the nerves. As thallium kept absorbing into RB's body, energy production was shut down at several stages of the process. Nerve impulses couldn't be sent, and enzymes were deformed mostly through their sulfur-containing residues, all because of the heavy metal toxicity. When he presented to the emergency room, his symptoms weren't life-threatening, but suddenly, RB's heart stops beating. The hospital calls a code. All available medical staff converge to his room to try to give CPR and give immediate-acting medicines to try and resuscitate him. Zoe believed that thallium was something that couldn't be traced, but she was wrong because the medical team had collected RB's urine and sent it out for a test, and it came back positive for thallium. They had suspected it in the first place because of painful ascending neuropathy with alopecia, hair loss, that quickly starts to cause central nervous system impairment, and all of these together are very specific findings when found at the same time suggest thallium. The final words that RB uttered to his sister before he became unconscious were, "She found out, she poisoned me, and now I'm going to die." And RB never regained consciousness again. Thallium poisoning in the United States isn't unheard of, but it isn't common. It should be considered in patients who present with profound alopecia and symmetric sensory motor neuropathy. But even then, obtaining what could be a treatment for it isn't quick and easy.
He killed him!
And testing for it isn't quick and easy either. At autopsy, the examiner found high concentrations of thallium in RB's blood and in all of his organs. They found that his brain had swelled and that parts of his spinal cord had been compressed and other parts had degenerated and died. Inflammation and fluid were found in his lungs. Cerebrospinal fluid is something that circulates through the brain and the spinal cord. It has functions like waste removal, protection, and regulation of normal function.
He was probably in so much pain, man. I don't think that's fair, just being honest.
Multiple samples of RB's cerebrospinal fluid were taken when he was still alive, and retesting them showed that they contained high concentrations of thallium. This was a new...
Don't cheat. Look, you're not going to get me to have sympathy for you getting cheated on. If you fucking poison your partner and get them killed, I'm sorry. Just, you're still a piece of shit, bitch! I don't care. I don't even have sympathy for you anymore.
Discovery about thallium poisoning, and it prompted RB's case to be recorded into medical literature. But knowing that it's impossible to easily come
yeah, right. Don't cheat if you failed chemistry.
across thallium pesticides today, in the United States, this suspected poisoning indicated malice on behalf of another person. The medical team had alerted authorities about Zoe when RB was admitted into the hospital, and in a court of law, years later, she pled guilty and was convicted.
How much time did she get? You know what? Make her take the thallium. How about that? And she watched it all at the house too? Never eating a tuna sandwich again? Oh, you ain't got to tell me. Damn. What was his name? RGB? Like the colors? I forgot his name, man. That's fucked up, dude. Rest in peace, my dog.